Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Helsen and I'm an Oklahoma 4-H STEMist. You're watching the fifth and final day of our STEM gardening camp. Today we're going to learn how to plant our own plot, and afterwards we hope you've built up an appetite because we're making a delicious snack, dirt in a cup. We've learned all about flowers, what plants need to grow, soil, seeds, and even toured the botanical gardens. Now we're going to learn how to plant our own plot. No garden for you to plant in? No problem. Today we're going to learn how you can plant your own plot in a recycled container from somewhere around your house or farm. In this activity, you'll need a container, soil, a shovel or something to move soil with, a plant or seeds, and water. You may also need a knife or a drill if you're going to drill holes in the bottom of your container. Your first step is going to be finding a container. Be creative. You can use anything from a used laundry soap container to an empty lick tub or even a 5-gallon bucket. Be sure to wash them out first. The size of the container is determined by the type of plant that you're going to plant. If you're using a lick tub, it can be used for tomatoes, squash, or melons, or other large plants that require more space to grow. You could put a tomato plant and maybe even flowers in it. If you're planting in something smaller like a 5-gallon bucket, something like a tomato or pepper plant might be a better option for you. And finally, if you're planting in an even smaller container like an old laundry soap holder, herbs like basil or chives or a leafy green like lettuce are good options because they don't need a lot of space to grow. The next step is going to be deciding on a location where you're going to be growing your plant. If your plant's growing outside, you want to drill holes in the bottom of your container for water to run out. If your plant will be inside, place half an inch to 1 inch of gravel in the bottom of your container. Both of these options will help the water in your container drain away from the plant's roots when you water your plant or seeds. If you decide to use a planting container without holes in the bottom, gravel is a good option to have in the bottom of your container to help the water drain away from the plant's root system. This is a good option for indoor plants. If you decide to use a planting container with holes in the bottom, or to put holes in your container, this will also help the water drain away from the plant root system. A thin layer, half an inch of gravel, or coffee filters can be used in the bottom of the container to keep the soil from coming through the holes. With parent supervision, make 5 to 7 holes in the bottom of your container. The holes should be about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch in diameter, small enough to not let the soil through, but large enough so that water can drain. You might be wondering why we would do this. If the water can't drain, your plant's roots will begin to rot or mold, so make sure you have holes in the bottom of your container or gravel to give a barrier between your soil and the water that may pool up in the bottom of a container without holes. If you decide that you're going to use a container and you want to drill holes in it, this is how you can do it with a parent's help or supervision. If you decide to use an old laundry soap container like this one, make sure you have a parent or adult help you cut off the top with scissors or a knife. If you want, you can also decorate the outside of your container with paint, waterproof markers, or by adding other decorations to make your pot pretty. It's easier to decorate before you add soil, water, or gravel. So if you're using a small container like this in coffee filters, is what I'm going to show you first. You can put 2 in the bottom and start adding your soil. You'll want to use a soil that drains well with organic matter added, like leaves or compost, or well-draining potting mix that absorbs water but also drains well. If you're planning to plant seeds, add soil to about 1 inch below the rim and follow the directions listed on the seed packet or refer to the OSU Extension fact sheet listed in the lesson handout. Once you have part of your container full, pat it down to eliminate the air pockets. So once you have your soil about an inch below the rim, you can plant your seeds. I'm going to put about 3 bean seeds in to make sure that at least one germinates. So poke the seeds down with your fingers and make sure they're about an inch in the soil. Okay. Once you have your seeds planted, to make sure your soil mix is evenly moist, it's best to slowly add water all around the planting area. Be sure that all of the soil is thoroughly saturated. Keep adding water until the water is draining through your holes at the bottom of your container. Once you're finished, place your containers in a spot to match your plant's sunlight needs. If you decide to plant a plant that's already started like this one, you're going to need to use a bigger container. So for this container, it will be outside, and I'm going to use gravel instead of coffee filters to put in the bottom of it. The gravel at the bottom of your container should be about 1 inch to 1/2 inch thick. Next, you're going to add soil and pat it just like we did with our seeds. Once you have your bucket all filled with soil and you've patted down all the air pockets out of it, you're going to dig a little hole for your plant to sit in. If you're using a tomato plant like mine, you're going to want to dig your hole about as deep as the roots go, and you can put your plant in all the way up to the stem. So once your plant's in there, you can pat the soil down all around it. And finally, you can add water. Just like we did with our seeds, we'll add water until it's coming all the way through the bottom of this bucket. Once you've planted your plants, just enjoy them. Check on your container garden daily and look for changes in growth. Monitor to determine watering needs. The best way to determine when your new container garden needs water is to put your finger in the soil and check to see if it's dry. Keep an eye out for pest problems and nip them in the bud early. We hope you enjoyed today's lesson and had fun planting your own plot. For more information on gardening, check out the Oklahoma State 4-H Extension fact sheets, and we'll link them in our activity sheet. For more information on our STEM camps, visit 4h.okstate.edu.